I welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll wait for a few minutes for others to join and then we'll start the webinar.
Hey, hi Tej, you can hear me, right?
Yes, Om. We have the participants also on the call. Hi, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining on time. We'll give it a couple of minutes more so that people who are slightly late, we can cover them also. And then we'll start the webinar.
Hi, Mayank, can't you hear us? Lavanya, can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, sure. Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. I hope I am also audible. We'll start this in a couple of minutes.
Tej, we have 90 plus participants. Probably we can get
Sure,
started.
sure. No, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining today's session on building AI native talent. My name is Tej. I have Som on the call with me. Som, why don't you start with your introduction and then I'll follow after that.
Sure. No, thank you, Tej, and thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Somnath Chatterjee. You can call me Som. I used to be a partner in McKinsey, spent many years there, 14 years, serving a lot of tech services companies, software companies, enterprises. Had a point of view on what I wanted to do. And then 5 years ago, I started Prismforce with a few of my ex-McKinsey colleagues like Tej, Kasim, and a few batchmates of ours. And then, like it's been 5 years, we work with a lot of tech as well as enterprises, particularly on the topic of talent supply chain and building AI-ready talent. Tej, handing it back to you. Why don't you introduce and then we'll talk a bit about where we are coming
Sure.
from.
Sure. Hi everyone. My name is Tej. I lead products at Prismforce, being a founding team member here. Prior to this, I was at Amazon. I was leading product management function for India business there. And before that, I've spent around 5 years at McKinsey, driving a lot of digital transformations, both in IT services as well as enterprise side of things. Also served a lot of companies on talent management problems. So that's a brief background.
Thank you. Thank you, Tej. So, team, I think today the topic is around building AI-ready talent. It's a hot topic, as many of you are aware. We have a mix of HR professionals, talent leaders, CXOs from tech companies as well as enterprises. Our background is in Prismforce. We started with a focus on tech services, particularly for whom, of course, talent is a core raw material, skills is a currency. Much of what we tell today is based on the experience that we have had over the last few years working with some of the leading tech players out there, as well as enterprises, particularly on the topic of talent transformation. Clients use a suite of our products to reimagine how they think about skills, about matching skills to emerging demands, trying to transform talent in the age of AI, do AI native kind of hiring. And some of those knowledge and experience would inform the kind of work we do. And our idea was to share this with you and get some inputs and then also talk through what we are seeing as, I would say, distinctive ways in which companies are going about building AI-ready talent. Next, Tej.
Sure.
Go ahead, Tej. So this is a suite of our products. Tej, why don't you?
Yeah. So this is the suite of products. This is just for information here. We'll focus primarily on the AI Quotient platform today, which helps organizations redefine roles of future, baseline their talent, and then transform their talent for the needs of the future, right? So we'll talk about that in detail. But beyond that, we also have products which help organizations manage their skill inventory. So both the skill framework as well as their skills of their users. We also have internal talent marketplace, AI-led talent evaluation platform, AI-led career learning and development management platform, and the forecasting and planning platform. Along with that, we do have almost 100 plus agents available through our MCP platform. So in case you want to embed any of these capabilities in your workflows, we can enable that also. So that's a brief about our suite, but I'll focus primarily on AI Quotient platform today, and we'll get into the actual webinar content now. One quick ground rule before we get into this. So we have the Q&A enabled within the platform, and we have kept roughly 20 minutes at the end to answer all your questions. The first 35 or so minutes, we will just focus on the core content so that people get a full visibility on the tooling and frameworks that we have seen working in the market. And please feel free to share all your questions in the chat window, and we'll take it up at the end of the webinar. So with that aside, let's quickly get into the main content. So I think all of you are here, and this slide then probably becomes much more relevant, right? That AI is reshaping how work gets done across industries, right? You take IT services industry as an example. People are moving from SDLC to agentic-led development now, right? AI is crunching the time of development. The delivery models are changing. The commercial models are changing. FD is emerging as a new core archetype, right? So a lot is changing in this industry, but not only about IT industry. But even in other domains like banking and financial services, right? A lot of use cases like credit decisioning, fraud detection, compliance, all of this is now being completely transformed by AI, right? Similarly, in healthcare side, if you see use cases like ambient clinical scribes, pre-authorization automation, a lot of it's now completely being redefined by AI. On automotive side, there are companies which have cut down the prototyping cost and time by almost 50% through generative AI design or digital production platforms. So this is probably the truth on the ground. With AI coming in, the work itself is transforming, and that impact is showing up in the role requirements, the role definitions, and the capabilities that people require in these organizations, right? Now, a simple answer, like typically people will say, okay, yes, AI is coming in. So why don't I invest in AI tooling? Why don't I hire more AI native talent? And that will probably help solve this problem, right? But this is a problem that you can't hire away. So if you see, there is significant gap in the Gen AI and AI talent in the market. This is a report which projects almost 53% gap is needed versus where we are today in terms of supply. Similarly, it also shows up in the kind of compensation premiums that we have to pay, right? So AI native talent typically comes at 40 to 50% higher salary premiums. What this means is if we really have to build an AI native workforce, we have to kind of build capabilities internally also, and we can't just rely away on hiring talent or hiring tools from the market. Now, this is another interesting study which says that almost 70% of the returns on investment on AI tooling comes from people and processes, right? So you may have the best tools, but if your workforce does not know how to leverage those tools, or if your workforce doesn't have the real capabilities of embedding that in their workflows, then you won't be able to realize that ROI, right? And that's where it becomes very important again to identify how the work is changing, how the roles will change for each role, what capabilities will be needed, and those kind of questions. So if I have to summarize this section, organizations are investing in AI tooling, yes, but are they making their workforce ready to use it? And if not, the ROI on the AI spend becomes questionable. So that's the premise of problem that we are trying to address today. And we'll be sharing from our learnings from our work with almost 30 plus clients on this. And hopefully we'll be able to give you a framework and tooling which you can take back to your own organizations to kind of implement it. So now, if that is the problem, let me just first cover the framework, right? We call it AI quotient framework. So I'll be using AI quotient and AIQ interchangeably during this call. Now, this is our approach to this, right, on building AI native talent. So there are 4 steps to it. The very first step is actually doing the work decomposition, right? So what kind of processes you have in the company, right? What kind of job descriptions you have company? Can I use that to break the work into tasks and then score each of the tasks in with the AI impact, AI competencies, and other details? So we'll show you a real example. It's not just a slide, but the first part is, can I identify what are the tasks within a work and then how each task is going to get impacted through AI? Once I have done that, then the second part becomes the role redefinition, right? So each task is done by certain role. Now, if AI is impacting those tasks, then the role will also change. And again, we'll show you with real examples. For example, medical scribe, right? With automation, that role probably can completely be automated, right? So now, does this role exist in future? What will it do? Will it consolidate? And those kind of questions need to be answered, right? So first we decompose the work. Second, we redefine the role definitions. Third, we actually assess employee fit with the new role definition. So we do a baseline dipstick for all the employees for their specific roles, not a generic dipstick. And then once I know what Tej's role requires in the new world, what Tej stands for today, what are the gaps, right? Basis that, we also suggest the interventions and upskillings, right? So we'll cover each one of them with real specific examples. One thing again I wanted to highlight, with the pace that AI is evolving today, right? The AI capabilities are moving. This cannot be a static exercise, at least for the near future, right? Next 3 to 4 years. So typically, when we work with our clients, they do re-baseline quarterly or half yearly, sometimes annually, and this then becomes an autonomous, a continuous loop, right? And that's where we that's where a scalable kind of solution is needed. Like it can't be something which you are driving on the ground with people, but it has to be something which is more scalable. Now, before I get into a real example showing all these four steps of the approach, I just wanted to highlight one last part on how do we measure the AI readiness for each role. So there are 6 dimensions to it. And I'll probably spend some time on this slide before I move to the real examples. 6 dimensions are the basic AI competency of an individual, right? So essentially, do you understand what AI can and cannot do in your domain? Can you economically use AI, right? And while the dimensions remain same for different domains, the implications become different, right? So for example, for IT, it means, do you know about LLMs? Do you know about token usage? Can you economically write prompts, right? So that your token usage is optimized, right? Basic AI competency. But if I take a pharma example, right? So there I need to know if I have an ambient scribe, what does it capture? What can AI do versus where human judgment is needed, right? What are my confidence threshold for CDS? So again, if I take an automotive example, generative design, right? Where do I need human intervention? What can AI do very well? So that's the basic AI competency we are talking. And again, in different industries, in different domain, it may mean different things, right? Similarly, the second part is around prompt fluency, which is, right, can you use prompt AI tools to effectively work in your daily work, right? So one was about understanding, second was about daily AI usage. Third one is around tooling and automation. So are there any process steps, any tasks that can get augmented or automated through AI, right? So can tooling and automation help augment the rules? So that's the third dimension. Fourth is around applied AI patterns. So can you actually specify, evaluate, and collaborate on AI solutions? Again, in IT domain, it may mean building RAG pipelines, architecturing multi-agent workflows. In pharma, it may be designing NLP patient intake solutions and so on, right? The fifth is usage of AI platforms. So sometimes the employee need not know what a transformer mean, but they need to use AI tools which themselves are AI enabled, right? So how good or bad someone is on that. So that's fifth. And finally, around risk and governance, which is more around compliance, PII controls, and those kind of things, right? So those are the 6 dimensions. Now, for different roles, some dimensions may be more important, some dimensions may be less important. So the radar that comes out for each role is very different, and we'll see that once we get into the example. One last point, again, sometimes people can question that, hey, this something that I can just write a prompt and get out of, right? So the answer is, you'll get some answer, yes. Will it look logical? Yes, it will look logical. But is it something which is verified? Is it something which is repeatable? Is it something which is scalable? Is it something which is grounded in truth? The answer to all those questions is no, right? And why this approach works better is because this is built on a proprietary role, skill, task, knowledge graph, which has data from almost 40 plus industries for 2,500 plus roles, 20,000 plus skills, and 25,000 plus tasks, right? Which is one, SME validated. So it's quite accurate with human judgment involved here. It is something that gets updated continuously. So we do consume almost 6 million plus job descriptions every month and keep updating this. And with the pace AI is changing the world, the continuous learning is very important. And we do cover multiple sources and so on, right? So the idea is this is grounded in SME validated truth and not something which you can just prompt away. That's one point which I wanted to highlight. So I think the slides are mostly done. I will show you one real example. We'll take 2 examples for work decomposition and role redefinition. We'll take a pharma example and show you how it shows up. For employee fit discovery and interventions, we'll take an IT services example. But again, before I jump into it, this is applicable to all the domains, all the roles, while I'm showing only two examples, but the framework is equally applicable to any role in your domain. Just wanted to highlight that. So let me first cover work decomposition and role redefinition parts. Uh, I hope my screen is visible. So this is again, this is set up as a service, but we are showing this to you to showcase how this works in the background and what kind of outcomes come here. So while the role skill task graph forms the basic framework of this, typically our clients also provide their own information, which includes things like their own job descriptions, their role masters, any process documents that they may have need not be very structured, any expert interview transcripts on processes, right? Or any other structured or unstructured data that may be required or that may have any information. The system consumes that. Then it will fine tune the base role skill task graph for the company for which we are kind of running this, right? So the answer that comes out is very grounded in the roles that the organization has. So just give it some time and then I'll show what kind of outcomes typically people are using. Okay, let me just approve. So there's a way in which SMEs can edit the base platform resolutions, but I'll skip that. I'll just show what is available, right? So the very first thing I'll go is it identified roughly 9 different work groups, 5 roles from the data. There were around 25 tasks across those roles and work. Around 72 skills were identified. And of course, the 6 AIQ dimension is there. Right. And then for each of the role, in summary, we are seeing how much of that role will get impacted by AI, right? So for example, a medical receptionist, it's quite high, 64% of the work can be augmented or automated through AI. A center administrator is higher. A primary care physician is probably much lower, but it's still around 30%, right? Now, if I go deeper into this, right, for each role, I can actually get a point of view on what are the tasks in that role. This is the work decomposition that I was talking, right? So pre-clinic visit risk scoring. This is something that can be highly automated using AI, almost 70%. If I have the right tools in place, if I have the right, so which of the dimensions are applicable, that's also available along with explanation. But if I choose something like patient interview and history of present illness or physical examination, these are the tasks which cannot be AI augmented. These needs to be preserved in the new world with human oversight, right? So every task can be either AI augmented, can be automated, or can be preserved. So that's the kind of view that is shown. Now, our clients are then using this information to determine a few things, right? First, okay, for this particular role, which of the 6 AI dimensions are most important and what kind of proficiencies are needed? So for example, if I take a medical receptionist, right, where if I have the right tooling and automation, and if I have the right applied AI patterns, this role can be automated to the extent of almost 69, 70%, right? So, and that shows up in all the tasks which are here for this medical receptionist. So we got a task map, which AI dimensions are important for this role. Now, very importantly, what kind of investments will be needed in order to realize this AI impact, right? So in this case, real-time API eligibility, right? That's something that the organization needs to invest in. PA automation platform, pre-visit risk analytics, right? NLP intake training. So whatever training and tooling kind of investments are needed, those are shown. And if the company already has certain investments made, those are again highlighted here so that you can actually extract the best ROI from there, right? For example, in case of medical assistant, ambient clinical scribe is already available in the company, right? So this is something that should be used and the ROI from this should be enhanced. Right? So we started for each role, what are the tasks, how much of AI automation is there, which dimensions are important, what investments are needed. We also have skills map for the for the roles. So it showcases, okay, what are the current skills that you have in your organization right now, but you can also get a visibility on what are the new AI era skills which will be needed for this role, right? So for example, uh, for a medical assistant, there needs to be some training on digital screening tools, right? Connected device management in the new world, which was not there earlier. AI alert review, automated workflow management. So these are the new skills that will become important for this role in the new world. And also a point of view on what are the declining skills, right? For example, manual reminder calls probably not needed in the new world, right? Paper intake forms probably not needed in the new world if we redesign the process. So for each role, task map, what dimensions are important, what investments are needed, what are the skills which are needed. Now, once we have defined this, we can actually do a baseline of the employees through a set of situational MCQ and verbal questions. We'll talk about this in detail slightly later. But like the organizations are also doing a dipstick. Okay, if Teja's new role is this, where does Tej stand today? Which then informs the interventions, the trainings, the tooling, and those kind of outcomes. So we'll talk about that slightly later. And then finally, for HR folks here or learning folks here, what should be the new job description for this role with AI embedded into the ways of working, right? So the system also provides intelligence on that. Now, all of this, we saw it as for each of the roles, right? But you can also view the same views through a lens of each process or work, right? So authorization and access, how much is the automation, right? What tooling investments are needed? For clinical encounter, right? What are the tasks? What are the investments needed, right? So again, you could view it as a process or you could view it as a role, right? So that can be done. Finally, I think some recommendations on with AI, what roles can consolidate in future. Again, this is something that needs human review, but at least based on the analysis of task overlaps, AI augmentation of the tasks between each of the roles, the role consolidation recommendations can also be shown. And then we also have emerging role recommendations. Again, this is coming from the market data that we track every month. So any roles which are showing up in, for example, healthcare startups or IT services technology startups, which have potential to become much more relevant in the AI native world, those are also shown to the leaders. So and finally, the consolidated list of investments that may be needed for this transformation. So those are all the kind of insights that people take out of this. If I have to take a pause and come back to this,
Maybe Tej,
essentially,
I can just
yeah, sure,
Yeah,
sir.
I can just add that. Look, I think it's less about the platform, but I think it's more the methodology, right? Like that, if the future of work is going to change due to AI, if potentially teams will become a combination of people and agents, right? Then we can't just stay even at the role or skill level. We have to go till the task level because some tasks will stay, some tasks will get automated, and that's the idea, right? Like we break down roles into tasks. We create a point of view on what tasks over a period of time won't happen tomorrow, but over a period of time with tools can get automated. And therefore, what will most likely remain is a lot of orchestration, a lot of judgment, which will still remain with human. But a lot of the lower end tasks can get done through agents, right? And of course, companies are at different levels of, I would say, maturity in terms of even thinking around the workforce management aspect of it. In fact, with a global top five software player, they where we are doing some engagements there, they are thinking about how can we think of workforce planning, which is a combination of workforce planning and token planning. Because if you really believe that AI adoption will go up, then probably the cost of token will also go up, right? So can't just think about only human cost. It will be a combination of human cost and token cost, and then you'll have to let go something, right? Like some people need to be repurposed. It can't be just the same BAU number of people which is working today. So that's the kind of thinking some clients are doing at one extreme. The others are thinking about, okay, what should be the new career architecture? How should I think about roles of the future? Do I really have the roles today, right? And not just roles, even the skills, because often the skill inventory is not very well defined. People Maybe the managers might know, the people might know what skills they have, but at the organization level, that visibility is not there, right? So in some of our clients, we have started with the basics, right? Like how can we define the skill taxonomy for that particular industry, tailored to the needs of that enterprise, and then use that to create a baseline of where do people lie on overall skills, and within that also on AI skills, as Tej was explaining.
Sure.
Over to you, Tej.
Thank you, Som. Thanks for adding that context. So I think we have 10 more minutes on the main doc, and then we'll move to Q&A. So in that time, I wanted to just quickly cover this employee fit discovery part on, let's say, if you have defined the roles of the future with the tasks, AI automation, the new process, and the skills, how do you identify which of the employees are closest, which of the employee needs upskilling, and then what kind of upskilling interventions are needed? So for this, we'll take probably an IT services example. Before I get into that, this is the kind of sources that typically our clients are using for determining the employee fit, right? So basic data, and again, except for probably 2B, the other two are optional. So if you already have their skills data, right, or if you already are monitoring the AI usage data because of the existing tooling that you may have, that should definitely form one part of the input. Then secondly, the AI quotient assessment, which we just discussed. So it's again a mix of verbal, situational, and MCQs. Roughly an hour of test, 30 odd questions across the 6 dimensions, very relevant to the role. So if it's a business analyst in banking domain, the questions are very different, very situational in their work versus if it's a data scientist in an IT services company, right? So it's very contextualized to the role and the domain. Now, and the third is for certain roles like a forward deployed engineer or a data scientist engineer. We are seeing some of the organizations also enabling AI lab, right? Which essentially measures, can you do an AI assisted coding, right? Or can you really build applied AI solutions? So those are the three sources. And again, each of the dimensions are then evaluated through a mix of these three so that the overall accuracy of the dipstick is correct. And again, this is not something probably to say yes or no to an employee, right? The way organizations are using it to actually figure out where the gaps are and define like very individual training, learning, intervention plan, which can further improve the overall ROI of your AI investments, right? So for example, this is a sample output from one of the real implementations. It shows for an employee what is expected out of them on each of the dimension and where they stand, along with the evidence why we are saying something so that it's completely explainable. It also tells you a viewpoint on what kind of skills they have on AI or otherwise, right? Again, along with the evidence. So this person knows RAG very well, doesn't know model selection and landscaping probably, right? So those kind of insights are available. What certifications, AI projects this person has done, again, for reference in future if you need to do something. But this is the most interesting part here, right? This is an IT services example, so the trainings will be IT specific. But if I have to build my AI competence specifically for me, right? What are the trainings I need to do? I need to do this training completely, right? Similarly, there could be certain mini projects which I can build on my own within my current scope of work. So learning by doing, right? So there are many projects which are available, and then there could be certain mini tasks, right? Which are more knowledge gathering tasks. Read OpenAI's latest paper on Fable, right? Or read the documentation on the tool that is being rolled out in your company, right? So again, for different person, the interventions could be very different. But the idea is to make it very hyper-personalized, linked to the AI investments that you are already making in your company, linked to the process and roles that you have redefined, and make it very contextual to that. Right? And similarly, for the organization leaders also, you can get a lot of insights, right? So for example, all the IT services people here, right? Lately, forward deployed engineer model is becoming quite prominent, right? So again, this is another live example where the company defined what a forward deployed engineer mean in terms of job definitions, skills, right, across 6 dimensions, what is needed. And then using this kind of AIQ dipstick baselining, they're able to get a visibility on who are my people who are best fit today for this, right? Who can be a FD in next 1 month if I have to do that? Who are the people who are moderate fit, will require certain trainings, interventions, project experience so that they become an FD in next 6 months, right? And who are the people who are completely not fit? So I should just not spend my energy or tooling or investments on that side. Maybe they are better fit for some other roles in the company. So that's the kind of outcome and insights which can come for the leaders or the team leads in the company. So that's how essentially people are using. I'll just show like one of the clients, they were able to improve almost 10 percentage point skills on growth and emerging skills in 2 years using tooling this plus plus. Similarly, another client over 6 months, they were able to improve their AI capabilities by almost 12 percentage points. So again, I would say this is a very evolving space, but the initial results are promising. And of course, as AI evolves further and the tools evolve further, some of the things will change, but at least the early signs in terms of impact is quite positive. Right? Yeah, I think those were the primary things that we wanted to cover today. If there's one thing that I would want you to take out of this session, and then we'll move to Q&A, it would be this slide, right? Which essentially captures the overall approach on how you should think about building AI native talent. Think about the tasks that you have. Think about how those tasks are going to change with AI. Think about how the roles will get impacted, therefore redefine the roles, find who are the employees who are best fit, which of the employees need interventions, and then drive those interventions, right? If we do this in line with your AI investments, then of course the overall ROI of your full AI investments will definitely improve upon. So I think that was it from our side. We'll move to Q&A. Before that, Som, if you have to add anything else, please do. Otherwise, we can get into the Q&A part.
No, I think we can take a few questions, but like clearly, I think the barrier to AI adoption has to go via people, right? And talent and skills, right? So clearly, we are seeing many of our clients doubling down on the people aspects of it, because over a period of time, tools, models, all of that will become widely available, will become probably commoditized at some level. What we do with that is what will differentiate organizations, right? And therefore, some of the more progressive organizations are working towards making their talent AI ready. And we have been fortunate to partner with some of them.
Sure, sure. So I'm getting into the Q&A. If you have not put your questions yet, please do so. Would be happy to cover those. But let me take one by one. Simpler one, very upfront. Would it be possible for the team to provide the presentation? So I think this entire recording is available, will be available after the webinar. So the presentation along with that will be available. So that's fine. Ramya had a question which says, people and culture and AIQ. Any inputs on mindset change framework? So yes, Ramya, so we did not cover it, but almost all of our engagements with the organizations, change management and mindset is an extremely important part, right? Because at least at the end of the day, we are dealing with humans here, right? And with AI, a lot of connotations may also be involved. So generally, there is definitely a focus and investment on change management side of things. What kind of comms need to go out, what kind of mindset change needs to happen culturally, do we need to add any values and those kind of things, and it's very thought through. Mostly the client HR teams or comms teams work on that, so that's a very fair point. It's one of the important part which is definitely there in all the engagements. Do you have list of emerging roles and prerequisites and JDs for the same? So like I mentioned earlier, we do have it for around 2,500 plus roles across 40 industries. If we encounter any role or any industry which is not currently in the master, we typically work with clients, take the job descriptions from them, and build it out in the role skill task graph. So this repository keeps improving over time. Then there is another question: what are the roles that are phased out? So again, it's very contextual to a company or a domain, right? What roles get consolidated, what roles get phased out, and this is what that comes out in this right, role consolidation recommendations or role redundancy recommendations. But I don't have a standard answer across industry what roles will phased out, but very contextual to a company, we can definitely answer that question through this framework. Then there's another question which says you spoke about teams having human plus agent. Do you have any insights on agent commercials? I'm not sure on this. So, do you have any thoughts on this? I'm
No,
probably
so yeah, I think the agents are of different types, right? There could be something which is more horizontal, it could be vertical, right? It depends on like whether you have built it versus you have bought it, right? So commercials will, of course, in this day and age would be a function of tokens they consume. There would be typically a license and then a consumption-based model, right? So it varies depending on the tools you use. Go ahead, Tej.
yeah, sure. There's one thought or question from Vanita. This would first need a ready repository of all the automation and AI tools available in the
Maybe I can
organization.
take that, Tej.
Sure.
So, Vanita, a good question. So, look, people are approaching it from different angles. Like, there's some companies which are taking a very process lens to it. Okay, well, let's break down into process, sub-process, look at like what is automatable, what is not, and therefore tools, right? You can't just start with tools. And of course, once you have a point of view on that, and it'll again, the investments on tools will also take some time, right? So, you start inventorizing tools and what part of the tasks it will automate. In parallel, or sometimes like against that, some people are starting with a people view to it, right? Like where do I have the most number of people? What is most likely the roles which will get automated? Can I start inventorizing the skills of today? Like if there are many people who are doing customer service, could a subset of that become more relationship sales kind of folks, right? If I have a lot of people doing data analysts, data operations, can some of them become data analysts, right? So that's the people angle to it, right? So we believe that there's no one answer. It will be probably a combination of the two. And in doing all of this, you do need to inventorize, right? Whether be it tools, be it processes, be it skills, and then you drive transformation once you have
Sure.
a point of view on this.
Sure. Vanta, I'll just add to what Som just said. So, of course, when you see some of these numbers, right, that hey, this task is 68%, overall 28%, right? This tells you the potential for AI augmentation or automation in the role. And the system also tells you what kind of investments or tooling will be needed in order to realize that potential. Not only tooling, but even trainings, etc., right? Now, some of these toolings may already be available, which can then be overlaid on top of it. Some of it may not be there. So the realized potential will be lower depending on what investments are there. But outside in, I do believe we have been able to kind of give almost a 70 to 75% correct answer, and then rest of it, the SMEs in the organization can fine tune. So that's what I would add to this. Next question is around based on the AI learnings, were they able to use the acquired skill into their AI projects? Yes, to an extent, probably 50-60%, because a lot of people would be adjacent and will probably need a little bit of nudge towards learning AI and using it. Second part, it's not only learnings. Like we said, we also have mini projects, tasks, etc., which actually make people do things to learn, right? So that also, it's not just a theoretical thing. But I would say it's almost 50-60% we have seen success rates there, anonymous attendee. There's another question from Varun. So the question is AI assessment and AI labs wholly in product, or will it be able to integrate with the client side L&D suite? Good question. On the lab side, we can completely get integrated with client side learning and development suite. So if you have your own learning content, if you have your own learnings that you want to do for certain roles, that can completely flow into the platform. On assessment side, we have not done like, so the questions are very dimension specific and are coming from our own engine, which understands all of this very well. We have not done yet, but technically, can it be done? Probably yes, right? So might want to go deeper on that side.
Right. Tej, maybe I can take a couple of questions,
Sure.
and I think folks are also typing questions on webinar chat window beyond the Q&A, so you can have a look there. I think the question from Pramila. Hi, Pramila, great to have you here. The question was around what is the data readiness needed for enterprises to work on this new dimensions? Very good question, Pramila. Especially on talent, we see that the skill data is typically all over the place. HCM data doesn't capture skills very well. The good news is that using AI, you can actually ingest a lot of internal, external data to create a relatively accurate, like at least 85-90% accurate point of view on skill profile of individuals, and probably a 70-80% accurate view on the proficiency profile. We do that through the suite of products that we have and the agents. That is on the talent side. Of course, on the work side, we are seeing clients look at processes, sub-processes, existing documentations, SOPs, sometimes even workflow products to create that point of view. As I said, like it will be a combination of like looking at the problem from work point of view and then from talent point of view, and the answer will lie somewhere in between. Uh, I think there was a question around whether I think Lavanya, you had a question on early talent hiring. Honestly, no one answer, but there are two schools of thoughts, right? Like some people are saying that the current generation is actually born AI or has been using AI right from like the second year, third year in college, right? So therefore, their ability to adjust and adapt will be much higher than say mid-career professionals like me, for example, right? Like we'll have to really relearn, unlearn a lot of what we know, right? So there are some schools of thoughts that look, we will continue to hire at scale fresher profiles and then train them. Of course, the training would be a bit different. Also, what we look for in candidates need not be just whether you know syntax for Java or anything else, right, or SOPs, but more around critical problem solving or critical thinking, right? So, learnability, adaptability, problem solving, some of those elements will matter probably a lot more. The idea is that like in future, right, like maybe X number of years, we don't know whether it's like 2 years or 5 years, a lot of the work will be actually orchestration of work. Judgment will be more important than just doing the work. Probably a fair bit of the work will be done through agents, right? So the way to build those skills would be around building critical thinking skills, creativity skills, and so on. Over to you, Tej. Tej, you're on mute.
Sorry.
Sonali, can we also take questions where people can raise their hand and talk, or it can be only through typing? Just see if we can make it work. Meanwhile, we'll take a few questions.
Sure, sure. So I think there's a thought from Nagendra that very insightful session. This is a more structured approach. So yes, that's true. Like typically it's more scalable versus doing it manually or via SMEs. Can we have a demo version access? So Nagendra, we will kind of discuss with you one-on-one on the access part of it. Now, then I think there's another question which says, how can we measure impact of AI on the upskilling being done for the employees? Just curious, have any such measures been adopted by companies? So again, I don't think there's a single answer, and so please feel free to add. But a lot of our clients, they are measuring. Let's say if Tej has underwent certain AI trainings, right, or certain specializations which are AI native. In IT services context, for example, did my bill rate change? Did I got redeployed on a project which was AI native? Right. So those are some of the metrics which some of our clients are measuring to see the efficacy of the interventions. But is there a right answer across the board? Probably no, not seen yet. But so if you can add your thoughts also, it will help.
No, that's true. I think companies are at various levels of maturity when it comes to like completely monetizing this, right? But the answer, the direction is very clear that you have to do this, and then get to benefits, right? It could be bill rate improvement, it could be reducing the intellect waste which happens, it could be reducing the need for hiring and then repurposing existing talent. Because as Tej was also saying, right, we can't hire this problem away. A lot of this has to happen through reskilling and upskilling. Not very different from what happened during the times of digital. At that time, if you remember, especially for tech services, many people were thinking, "Oh, the legacy companies will not do so well. It will be only new companies." But then a lot of reskilling happened. Just that here the pace of change is probably much faster, right? Every other week something new is coming and you have to adapt.
Sure. The next question is around, are the tasks generated through AI or expert input based? So the generation is AI based. Like I mentioned, we do consume almost 6 million documents, primarily the job descriptions and some supply side sources to kind of generate it. But most of it is SME validated once the generation happens. So like you can see here, almost for 2000 plus roles, it's SME validated, and then this feeds into the model also. So the next generations from AI model are also quite accurate. So it's a mix of both. Almost 80 to 90% of it is SME validated also. This one is an interesting question, thought provoker. So, what is the one change you would recommend resource management teams make today to prepare for an AI native future? Right. So, I think so. This one, would you want to take? I can take the how do we support AIQ effectively? So, one change that you would recommend resource management teams make today to prepare for AI native future.
Right. I think it's not just probably resource management teams, right, but broader HR teams, right? I think to be a lot more strategic around skills and talent, and like have a point of view on. See, with AI, what will happen is you can't do or can't be everything to everyone, right? You'll have to take some bets. So probably even in talent, right? Could there be some areas in terms of competencies where you want to really build versus buy or versus hire? And then prepare the ground towards it, right? Not wait for people to come to the bench and then do training, right? It's the model of continuous learning which you need to stress upon, and not just do a cookie cutter like a prompt engineering training, but do something which is most likely going to be a combination of domain as well as technical skills. What is happening is, I'm not saying the value of technical skills will go down, right? But a lot of the technical work can be done through agents or tools, right? It's a combination of domain and tech which will matter even for service provider companies. So doubling down on a few areas and then building that competency will probably differentiate us a lot better.
Um, this is a support team. Just one request, Tejan. So I'll just try and unmute one attendee, Mr. Rajmohan. He has a question. Just give me one
Yeah,
second.
Mr. Rajman. Sorry, that's much better. Yeah, you're mechanically answering questions on chat.
Mr. Rajmohan, we have unmuted you, so you can raise the question now for Somnath Chatterjee and Tej Pratap.
No, Sonali, I can still see muted.
I did that. Unmuted. Give me a minute.
Also, Vanita. Rajmohan, can you see if you can unmute yourself?
We've given
Sorry.
you the permission, so now you can unmute and
Yes,
talk.
we can, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, Vanita, please ask. You have a question?
No further questions from my side. You have already answered.
Thank you. Thank you, Vanita. Rajmohan, you had a question. Could you please ask? You have to unmute yourself. And if there's anyone else would love to ask questions in a less AI way, in a more human way, please raise your hand.
Yeah, am I
Yeah,
audible?
Sajid. Yeah, Sajid, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Sachit here. So my question is around like for service organizations. I think I've typed my question in the chat window also. So for service organization where billability and client delivery are key metrics, how should workforce planning evolve when AI can perform a growing share of execution work? That's my question actually. So because a lot of thinking around we have to do on this line. So that's my question.
Sure. Sure. So maybe I'll take a shot and then you can add. So first, Sajid, I think this is a question, if probably if we had an answer, you would have been millionaire by now, right? By selling that to companies. But coming to a more serious point, again, we are seeing a lot of new delivery models as well as commercial models being used by the IT services companies. So, for example, you would have heard one of the leading IT services players in US, they started a pod kind of model, right? Where you charge for outcome and then there is a AI plus human team which is working in
Right.
the background for delivery, right? Some of the clients have built SKUs, which is more now product plus human versus purely headcount kind of billing, right? So there's a base platform for which you charge, and then there's an additional set of humans for which charge. So a lot of work that is AI will get done by AI and not by humans. If you are just on the human-centric model, your billing will reduce, right? But if you charge product plus human, then you can probably save some of that, right? So again, we are seeing people trying out a different kind of both commercial as well as delivery models. But is there a single answer that we have seen working? Probably no, right? So I think this is a space which will evolve with time, and we'll get to see what are the right answers or right resource sets. But of course, we are seeing some of these examples on the models. So you want to add based on your experience?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm good.
So great, Tej.
That's
I
fine.
think that was the base which I wanted to at least understand. But my question now, follow up is here is a lot of organizations are investing heavily in the AI trainings.
Mhm. Sorry, did we lose Sajid, or is it only
Yeah,
for me?
you got
sorry.
muted. Yeah.
Am I able? Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
hear
now
you.
we can.
Sorry. So my question is an extension of the previous one because I want to get my workforce ready. So a lot of organizations, or maybe our organization, is also focusing heavily on investing on AI learning, AI training, certifications, and there are a lot of free trainings, free certifications, and things available in the market.
Hmm.
So my question is, what evidence have you all seen that which actually correlates with successful workforce transformation? And any activities that are creating the illusion of progress without delivering measurable business impact. Because we see that we are training people, but at the same time, we have a challenge to actually understand, okay, whether this training is actually giving output or not, what we want. Uh, and if it is giving an output, there are employees who actually maybe earlier spending 4 hours in a particular activity, now they are spending 20 minutes, but we don't come to know. So you got my question, Tej, around
Yeah.
what I'm trying to convey?
Yes, Sajid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, Sajid, I would break it into two parts, right? One, there may be certain, and you can decide for yourself where the organization maturity lands. There are certain organizations where we have seen it's just spray and pray kind of approach, right? That, hey, everyone needs to go through this AI training, right? Or everyone needs to do this assessment, right? Typically, when you go that, your ROI or the efficacy of those trainings will not be that high, right? Maybe you are training person X who's doing some job Y where this training. That's where wherever we have seen the tooling investment as well as the training investments are thought through the lens of work and role redefinition. What is needed for that particular role? What are the gaps for the individual? There we have seen higher efficacies, right? So, for example, a very recent one, and there could be more also. One of the clients where like this recent trend of FDE, right? Excuse me. So they had to build certain FDs to be in line with the commercial model that they have, right? Now, if I just pick all cohort of 5,000 people in certain role, right, and try to make FDs out of them, then probably the ROI on that investment, both on tooling as well as training, will not be that high. How the client went about it is, out of those 5,000, first, can we define what FD does, right? Two, can we measure out of those 5,000 who are the closest out of it, right? Who are those 250 people? Then for those 250 people, what are the individual gaps? What does Tej need to know versus what does Sajid need to know, right? What kind of tooling is needed for those 250 people? And then those point interventions are being made, which will be probably much more higher pointed ROI versus just doing same training, same kind of interventions for everyone. So that's definitely one of the levers that we have seen. Beyond that, so if anything comes to your mind on this.
No, I think Tej, along those lines.
Yeah, but Sajid, did I answer your question on this? But typically, what we have seen wherever people are thinking about how the work will change, how the role will change, what tools, what trainings are needed, very specific to an individual against their roles, there the efficacy of outcomes is much higher versus just doing a blanket training or tooling investment, right? For example, in pharma industry, we're working with a company. They have bought the medical scribe, ambient scribe tooling, right? 0% productivity improvement until now after like almost a year, right? And because the medical practitioners, the MAs have not been trained on how to use it, right? So you can't just take them off away, right? So the linking between the tooling, training, and role redefinitions, that needs to play in synergy for everyone to get a good outcome out of it.
Thanks, Tej. Maybe I got something from there.
Sure.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Happy to connect
Happy
separately
to connect
also,
offline,
Sajid.
yeah.
Yeah, because there are many questions for me around this.
I'm
Sure.
sure.
Okay, let me ask you one last question. Maybe if you will tell me, I'll just keep on going. So I'm talking from a leadership competencies perspective. So as AI is there, so my question is, what new leadership competences uh, will become essential in the next 3 to 5 years as human AI teams become the norm? So the competencies will definitely change. So what could be? I'm just thinking a little ahead right now.
Yeah, Sajid, I'll take that. I will not say I'm a foremost expert on this, but it will be. See, what's happening is a lot of the IQ type elements will more or less right get disrupted with AI, but probably the EQ kind of elements, right? Empathy, creative problem solving, some of those things will take some more time, right? Over time, maybe they will also. We never know at the pace at which things are changing, right? But some of those EQ elements will become more and more important, right? And there was this question, I think, from Pramila also, that will humanities and anthropology, some of those sciences become more important. I do believe, right, like some of those skills over time will become more important. On leadership, right, like maybe a longer conversation. We don't have a strong point of view as yet, right? We have been more focused on below leadership, right, like the doers, their skill profiling and so on. But here, as AI permeates the organization, right, leadership, one of the big things would be how do you enable that change? Because one of the big challenges of AI adoption will be around like how we try like take people along, because there will be a lot of backlash on AI as well, right? But overall, it's a pretty transformative kind of technology. Of course, in the short term, we tend to overestimate, but in long term, we do end up underestimating the impact of transformational technology.
Thanks. So.
Thanks,
Ajit.
Ajit.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If you have any questions, please put your hand on. I know we are on time, but probably we can stay on for another 10 minutes.
We saw Sajid had a question. We've unmuted you. Could you check if you can?
There's one more person.
Okay, I'll just check, yes.
A lot of so thank you for being so interactive. Lots of questions on the chat window as well. We are trying our best to try and answer, and happy to have discussions offline as well.
Sure. Do we have an audience question? Otherwise, probably I can pick one more from chat.
Yeah.
Sure.
I see Niharika has raised hand.
Yeah, Niharika, please unmute and ask.
Yeah, I got the option to unmute. Thank you. So just from your experience and with your expertise in dealing with so many clients, just wanted to understand that, are you seeing most of the clients jump onto AI adoption and tools out of fear of missing out the big race? That's one thing. And the second thing is, of this set, is there a subset which is actually doing something right in terms of adoption, implementation, not caring about maybe whether I'm getting return on investment just yet, because that could be a long-term evaluation? So what are some of the steps that organizations who are successfully adopting AI doing differently than the rest?
Very, very interesting question. Maybe I'll take a shot and Tej, you can add. So Niharika, you're absolutely right. Like there's a fair bit of FOMO effect, but like what is happening is AI is playing at two different levels. The board room and the CEOs, like the FOMO thing, and they are also talking in their community, right? That hey, this is happening, that is happening. We are reading every other day some new big changes happening. What will happen to our industry? Will someone else come and completely change the game, right? So that is driving that. Therefore, like we need to do something differently, right? And now organizations are at a very different levels of maturity in terms of what they are doing. And at the ground level, of course, like even when we talk to many enterprises, often people are saying, hey, things have not really changed so much, right? Or it has not really permeated to the enterprise as yet, right? We know it will come, but not as yet, right? So we can continue what we are doing, right? I think you would now start seeing some organizations trying to create some sort of a AI task force. We clearly see, like in private equity company owned like enterprises, there's a huge push coming from the investors saying that, hey, we do need to drive AI at scale. People are creating AI COEs or AI task force. Even private equity companies, and I'm naming private equity companies because they have a shorter window, right? There's like 4 5 years for them to add value and then probably exit. So there's a clearer bias to action. So we see that that's happening. They're creating AI COEs within their private equity operating teams as well. So the other like founder-owned companies, enterprise companies, they are like trying to create an AI office, not very dissimilar to what happened in like 2014, 15, where people were creating the office of this chief digital officer, sometimes even separate from the chief information officer, right? So CDO as an office came into being. They were driving a lot of digital initiatives. So something similar might happen in AI also, just that here the pace of change or expectation for pace of change is much higher. On the ROI part, right? Honestly, enterprise ROI is still not a given, right? It's still happening at the pilot level. Of course, in pockets there are changes and there are like benefits, but at enterprise scale, unless you are a very tech first or AI first kind of company, those examples are much fewer, right? But people are seeing that that's the direction, right? Like it might happen, if not tomorrow, it will happen next year, right? But that's what we need to build as a foundation. That's why even HR teams are like thinking through the roles of the future, career architecture. How can we infuse AI? How can we build talent? Because even the CHRO is getting asked that question, right? Are we ready? Yes, we have to do so many things for AI, but then are we ready from talent point of view? And that is driving some of these discussions that we are doing with clients. It comes more naturally to provider companies like service providers, professional services companies, because they are at the forefront of this, and the whole business is around skill and skill monetization, if you will. And a lot of that skill is technical skills. But now we are seeing broader enterprises, be it a pharma company, automotive, hospital systems, payers, providers. So those are also like we are seeing across the board that same change happening.
If I can add couple of points on ROI, like one is when people initially started automating or using AI, right? They picked some of the low-hanging tasks, and the cost of tokens in AI itself is high. So the ROI is not that great. For example, some of the clients, people are using just to check what is their leave balance and who's my manager, right? That will not give you the max ROI on investments on AI. That is one. And second, in some cases, people have just automated or put AI on the existing processes, which already has inefficiencies. So one lens people have to take is reimagine, okay, how the human and the agent will work together, and we'll have to reimagine the workflows versus just taking as is and apply AI. So that will help in unlocking more of ROI for the enterprises particular.
That's helpful. Thank you both.
Thanks. Do we have any other questions in the group?
There was a question around whether we work with HCM systems like SAP. So we do. In fact, we are available on the SAP store as well. So our idea was that HCM systems don't really do justice to skill inferencing. That's how we started initially 5 years ago, because they still treat like skills as one of the 10 fields which need to be filled up by the individual. Whereas we know that left to itself, there's a huge decay. Hardly 20% of the skill data is actually accurate. So what we have built is a skill inference engine tools. We started with even a knowledge graph, which was a lot more to do with roles and skills. For the last 2 years, the agent team have been working on extending that to tasks, right? Because we started seeing this pattern that some tasks will stay, some tasks will go away, right? So therefore, you need to have more granularity in the knowledge graph, and that's how like we have built the foundation. And this is eminently scalable, right? So we started with tech services a few years ago. Now we have gone beyond to other enterprises as well.
Do we have time to ask one question?
Yeah,
Is
please,
Sajid
Sajid.
here?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So, what mistakes organization can make when redesigning roles for an AI native future? Means I don't want to make, according to you, I don't want to make mistakes. So, according to you, what we can make mistake or organization are making mistakes, maybe.
Yeah, my provocative answer, Sajid, would be the mistake would be not to do anything at all, right? Because there's so
Yeah.
much of confusion, right?
Right.
honestly, no one knows anything, right? So everyone is trying to create a point of view on this, right? And it's
Mhm.
very easy to just let BAU happen, saying that, hey, let all of this settle down and then I will start, right? And I think by that time, it's already too late, right? So I think getting started is the first thing, right? Not getting started is the biggest mistake, and
Sure.
just waiting for things to settle down. And it is very natural because so many things are changing all the time, right? Every other week, something new is coming. The other thing is like roles is one starting point, but as I told earlier also, right, it would be a combination of taking a work view to it and then a role view to it. See, for a long period of time, core HR design was all about roles and boxes, as if the role can define what the person does. So things have changed a lot, right? Since then, the work itself is a lot more fluid. Roles are getting broken down, right? So roles need to be decomposed. And while it has been happening for a long time, but that I think the trigger has been AI now, but it has been happening for a long period of time. So taking that granular view to roles, taking a work view to it also, right? Not necessarily only the role view will become important. And not taking only a HR lens to it, right? It has to be a combination of HR, and by work I'm meaning like more the business lens to it.
Okay, thanks, Som. Thank you.
Thanks, Ajit. Any final question?
For the ones where we couldn't cover, we'll definitely reach out to you offline. But happy to take
There
probably
is a
one.
question from Rahul. Rahul, if you want to ask your question, that will be helpful.
Sure.
Maybe we'll have to unmute Rahul. Is the question answered?
Okay.
Okay. Else we'll wrap it up. So thank you very much. It's been an amazing time to interact with all of you and very thought-provoking questions as well. Look, I don't think we will claim that we know all the answers. It's a very rapidly evolving field, but we did want to put a stake in the ground and create a point of view on this, and that's how we have built out the platform. And it's also an evolving platform that we have, and some of these kind of interactions will only help us be even better. But clearly, as I told, the pace of change is so vast, right, that not doing anything is the biggest probably risk you all will take. So at least getting started will be half the job done. So looking forward to interactions beyond this forum, and we remain available like for offline discussions as well. But thank you very much for joining us today. Tej, any last words from you?
I think that's well covered. Thanks everyone for all your insightful questions and feedback. And let's continue this conversation offline also. Thank you,
Sure.
everyone.
Thank you. And we'll share the presentation and the recording link as well.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Prakash, for your inputs.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.